who's next? Yeah, who's next? Who'll ride a greyhound all night long, standing line around? Welcome to the C.L.I.M.B. This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. And you're gonna need leverage. Today, the labels, the big investors, they are not developing artists. They are buying small businesses. I'm gonna say that one more time. They're buying small businesses. You gotta create that business. You gotta come in with cash flow. You gotta come in with an audience, and then you're gonna find the management. You're gonna find the bookers. You're gonna find the label deals that you want, and you're gonna be able to stack the deck in your favor to make sure that they follow through and get you the things you need so that you can get that number one, so that you can get out on tour and make a living as an artist. And with that, you're going to need leverage. That's why we called it the C.L.I.M.B. It's an acronym. It stands for Creating Leverage in the Music Business, which is downright super smart. And the guy that came up with that is my co-host. His name's Mr. Brent Baxter. Brent's an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady Antebellum, Joe Nichols, and more. And what I love about Brent is he helps songwriters like you turn pro by teaching the art, the craft, and the business of songwriting. And you can find Brent at songwritingpro.com. Once again, that's songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns the Daredevil Production. They help you find your sound, and they help you grow your audience so you can become the artist that everybody loves, like Raymond, so you can get paid like Raymond. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production singular with no S, and there's no S because there is no other Johnny D. What's up?
What's happening?
Oh, just listen to my dog whining in the background, my little puppy, so I'm sure I'm going to have a care package when I get off this,
no extra
this
charge.
podcast.
No extra charge.
So that's enjoyable. That's not distracting at all. It's okay. She's 2 pounds, so it's like here's a Tootsie Roll. Thank you.
Yuck.
And not like Scooter McGee, who's a Great Dane and dog's bigger than you are.
Yeah, those aren't Tootsie Rolls. That's
a whole.
He has chunks of dogs like yours in his stool.
Yes, that's right. We started right off at the poop.
There we go with the poop jokes. There we go. Welcome to the C.L.I.M.B.
Right. Welcome to life.
But hey, what we're going to talk about today? We're going to talk about something that I know for a fact that every creative, whether you're a songwriter, whether you're an indie artist, whether you're an actor, whether whatever, this goes through your head. And what spurred me on this, that gave me the inspiration to kind of create this episode, was an email, like a real genuine heartfelt email with a real honest question. And I'm going to read that email, and the title of this episode is "What Are You Doing?" Because at the end of the day, your success in whatever it is that you choose to be successful in is going to very much largely be based on where you're spending your time. And a lot of us, I think, mismanage that expectation because, we may have this passion for this thing over here, but we're not spending the kind of time on it that we're spending over there, right? And then the results aren't happening, and so we start to... our artist heart, our artist soul gets wounded, right? And we start to feel like, man, maybe I'm not good enough. And I think more it's a function of, what are you doing? Right? So
cool.
With that, but before we get into that, we have a 5-star review.
Love this 5-star reviews. Like to collect them. Yeah. Take them out every once in a while. Print them out, roll around in them. Like Scrooge McDuck and his money.
That's right.
Just makes you feel good. Anyway, I thought about doing a bad Scottish accent, but I won't. So this one is from Joseph Henry Castleman. It's a nice 5-star review titled "Helping Me Stay Focused." And I'm going to try and read this not too loud because everyone's asleep except for the little dog. Let me get into this one. Let me get ready here.
Get your head right.
All right, get my head right. Welcome to the C.L.I.M.B.
Yes!
Podcast review. Johnny D and Brent help keep me focused on my goals. If you're like me, you're working your day job to pay the bills until you can go full-time with your songwriting. Sometimes it's hard to stay focused on what you need to do to achieve your goals when you have so much stuff going on in your life. But every week, these guys drop in and keep me on track. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Joseph Henry Castleman, for making me do my best Johnny D.
Thank you, Joseph Henry Castleman, for making him do his best Johnny D, because that was worth the price of admission right there. That was good. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. It sounded a little shaky at the beginning, but you got it together like you were doing some vocal warm-ups or something.
I know. I just, like, you don't get me on the mic except for podcasts, so that's why I don't sing.
But hey, guys, thanks for these reviews. Like, do take the time. It takes 10 seconds. Leave a rating and review. It makes us look legit to everybody else. Share this if you find an episode that you think would be really helpful to people in your songwriting, in your artistic community, in your artist community. If it's helping you, it's going to help them. It'll make you look cool and will make you famous. Yep. So make that happen. So, all right.
Well, it's interesting. This review came on this episode.
Right.
It was just next in line, but it seems to dovetail nicely into what you want to talk about. And so this was literally the next review in line. But it seems like it's right on target.
Like it's serendipitous. Like it's supposed to be there. So this particular time, so this is an older blog article that I wrote, but I had written the week before in a blog article that we have split into 2 episodes, I think very early in our podcast, called 10 Reasons Not to Give Up on Artists. And I received a ton of response. And there's this one in particular that I want to read to you, and then we're going to kind of dig into this one today, okay? So here's the email that I received. I would love for you to bend your nimble mind around this one. It's one thing to hold your vision of the dream and never give up. But for those who really and truly don't have the skill or talent to make it happen, how can a person accurately gauge when enough is enough and begin to pursue a more attainable dream? I see it so much. People pouring their life's energy into a delusion and are crushed when it does not happen. And that translates to a life of disappointment and pain. That scenario is far more common than is success in music, don't you think? How would you guide a person and advise them via a critical assessment, a self-diagnostic of their real potential to be successful in the music business without shooting them down? For me, I understand success on a business platform and experience it daily. Musically, there are still a few remnants of fear there, and I practice daily not allowing negativity to dissuade me. I know I will have only the success and fame that I choose to have, given my knowledge of the law of attraction and how manifestation works. I have done the self-diagnostic, and I am encouraged. Your posts encourage me. I can feel your energy and drive to thrive, brother. Keep up the great work.
Wow.
What an interesting email. Right? Like,
that's real.
That's real, man. Like, that's real. Like, everybody thinks that. And it affects how we behave on different levels. Like, are we going to invest in a real recording? Are we going to try to cut some corners? Or are we going to invest in the precious time that we need to perfect this craft? And, gosh, we could do like a 10-hour podcast on this one email. Like, we really could,
There's a lot in there.
But, I assure you that the person who authored this reply is coming from a very compassionate place and has asked like a real honest and philosophical question that I think we've all considered at least once, probably multiple times a darn day as artists. And it's a good perspective to talk about. So the answer that I have, how would you guide the person and advise them via a critical assessment, a self-diagnostic for their real potential to be successful in the music business without shooting them down? Here's the answer. What are you doing? What are you doing? Like,
good question.
Success, legitimacy, potential for anyone's future in any life adventure can easily be measured by the work that they're doing. So what are you doing? Wishing for something to happen is not work. Wanting something to happen is not work. Believing something should happen is not work. Hoping for something to happen is not work. Complaining about something that is not happening is not work, although all these things can be exhausting. Making excuses for why something is not happening is not work. Work is the conduit to the success. And work is where you find out exactly how your story will play out. Work creates luck. Work creates opportunity, relationships. Work creates results. So, if you're an aspiring singer-songwriter artist who is broke, living in BFE, where there's no music business, married with 3 kids, and you're constantly working by writing songs, you're in it, man. You're in it because you're spending time writing the songs, Your potential is greater than someone who is next door to, let's say, Shane McAnally with the same circumstances, telling everyone what they want to be and why he can't get it done. It just boils down to just do the work. I'm going to give you some perspective on this, and Brent, weigh in on this. But so, first of all, there's some really subjective content in that email that I read about how do we know if they just don't have the talent or if they just don't have the skill or, blah, 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 blah. Well, to me, most people who don't have the talent and don't have the skill just aren't doing enough work. Because I think that, maybe there's some people that are certainly born with, in the case of me, there's some people, in the case of not me, right? There's people that are born with this gift of a voice, right? Like God touched their vocal cords right before they were born, and they can sing the phone book and they can make you believe anything. I didn't have that, but I outworked most artists who had that and created a 7-year career in the rock and roll business. I was developed by the Allman Brothers. I went right up to Warner Brothers. The band went up to Warner Brothers with Rob Cavallo, and I lived a life in that 7 years that most people only read about in books, and I clawed my way to middle management on the vocals. So if I was in a vocal competition in that framework, right, let's talk about that framework, then you would look at me and you'd be like, well, that guy's not going to make it. Right. And you would be right. I wouldn't be making it in the vocal competition, but that didn't matter because I could write the songs that were compelling enough to get the people interested, right? And I promise you, my writing, and I'm just being real honest with you here, Brent, was nowhere near the level of Monday Morning Church, or Crickets. It was a lot. It was super trite. I didn't spend a whole lot of time on the words. I was more about shaking my butt up there and bringing the Mick Jagger vibe to the stage.
And the hair fan.
And the hair fan.
I've seen some video.
Exactly.
The hair fan.
It's true. But this didn't dissuade me whether or not I thought we were good enough. I just knew that that's what I had to do, and every dime that I made and every ounce of energy that I had to give, I put towards that. So freshman year, I'm 6'2", freshman year in high school. So I live 2 doors down from the football coach. All right, so welcome to the first social tune-up section of the new C.L.I.M.B podcast here. And in this section, I encourage everybody to email your social links to info@daredevilproduction.com. Again, production is singular. There's no S. info@daredevilproduction.com. I'll take a look at them and just kind of give you some feedback on your social media as an artist on if you were one of my artists, here's the things that would immediately go through my mind. So what we have is Uncle Brent is his name from No Stone Music Band. And
no relation.
No relation, that's right. And we're going to get to a couple of these here, but the links for Twitter and Instagram are the same handle. So No Stone, NOSTONE Music at Twitter and No Stone Music at Instagram. And if you search for that on Facebook, you'll find it there. So I took a quick look at Twitter, at Facebook, and at Instagram. So the first thing
I'm following you now, Uncle Brent.
There you are. So the first thing I see on Instagram is, and just some hints is first of all that it definitely stronger on Twitter and on Facebook than he is on Instagram. So it's clear that that's his platform. But you can use Instagram and social media to get into growth. This is, by the way, going to be a broken record part of this section here, because most artists and even labels, they don't do this. They don't use it as a marketing tool. In one sense, they use their social media platform as a marketing tool to reach out and to market to people that are already followers, but they're not using it as a growth tool to where we can go find other followers and other people that we know are interested in the kind of music that we do, and connect with them that way. So, Instagram's got 873 followers. I think you can beef that up. And one of the things that we try to do just on Instagram as a general rule is we try as best we can to theme it visually, because there is, and not all of our artists have that, but most of them do. So sometimes a theme can be a color, like a favorite color that an artist has, where we've got one artist named Mia. Her favorite color is purple. So if you just look at her feed, you can clearly tell that her favorite color is purple. There's purple highlights, there's purple tint, and everywhere on her Facebook feed. It makes it look like really cool, okay? And we got another artist, John Kern, up in Canada, that we've been working with for about a year now, and he is he's black and white. Like, he just comes across this cool, like, black and white dude. So we spin it that way, and it creates a theme. So I would definitely maybe consider doing that on your Instagram feed. It might make it a little bit more attractive, and then just engage everybody once you get into growth and you're starting to find other accounts that would like your music. Twitter. He's got 2,861 followers on Twitter, but all the content is about the band. So it's I think there needs to be some content that is that's somehow valuable to your people, to your following, that people that would like your kind of music, maybe some other bands that are in your genre, maybe some other news about bands or about the music industry, or something that would be valuable to them. So it's not just about your band. If there's some way that you can try to add value to that feed, I think that's a good thing. A lot of times with our artists, that ends up being other things that they're interested in. So I have an artist named Patience Reich, who is a black female jazz singer working on a pop record, who's a physician of internal medicine. She's an MD with her own practice, and also a true humanitarian. She shuts down her practice like 1 or 2 months every year and goes to some third world country on a philanthropic mission to medically help children that are in need.
I love her already.
She's like a saint, yeah. And she's a devout Christian, and she is a marathon runner, and she loves cats. So the DNA in there is astounding. So it's not just about pictures of her with her artistry. I mean, we really get people to connect with her through some of her philanthropic work. Like, we'll show pictures of kids when she's allowed to take them on her feed, and make a medical comment or something like that. You know what I mean? Because that's valuable to her people too. We want them just to connect with the artist, and then if we know, because we're pulling from certain places, that they like that kind of music, then they're gonna open up their hearts and their minds to liking the music. Oh
man, this makes me think. If I can just interject for a second,
yeah, we
should probably do a whole episode on this, but. Like TV shows, American Idol, The Voice, they go and do the hometown shoots.
Yeah.
Right? They he's a father of 2. That is, he's been working, blah, 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 and this is his dream. Why do they do that? Just try and connect with the story. I've talked about it before. If you get on one of those shows, at a certain point, you've hit the musical bar. You've hit the talent bar.
Yeah.
After that, they're making a TV show. It's about the story.
It's about
so
the
people
story.
Like Patience, she has a great story to tell with all the stuff that she's into, so you can buy into her. If she has a talent, okay, a lot of people do. Now I want to connect with the story. That's why people, like reality TV, man, they're in the story, these people.
All TV is about the story.
Yeah.
That's right. And reality is just about, like, supposedly real stories, right? Even though a lot of times they aren't. But you're absolutely right, Brent. So what's your story? Like, what are some of the things that you've overcome? These are some of the questions we ask when you come on board as a Daredevil artist. When you hire us to work for you, we want to know, like, what's the biggest thing that you've overcome? What are you most proud of? Like, we're trying to get the bits and pieces together of your backstory, because there are people that are going to relate to that also happen to like your kind of music, and that's how we're going to get you connected, right? So I think you could be doing more of that, and in that sense, like if you're sharing your story, look at what Brent and I are doing with this podcast. We're sharing a lot of our knowledge, and you've heard a lot about Brent's backstory. You've heard a lot about my backstory over 84 episodes. You know some of the stuff that we've come through, but we're doing that because a lot of you, I know this because you relate to it because you tell me and you email me and you reach out and you say, hey man, thanks for that. Like that really gave me what I needed to get through tomorrow just to keep pushing forward. But that kind of stuff, when you find somebody that you kind of like, for this reason or that reason, and then you see that they did something, it's inspiring to them. So yeah, share more of your story on there. It's not just about the music, right? It's not just about that. Now, on a good note, on his Facebook, Uncle Brent he's got the free download, but you're serving it up wrong. So on one hand, I give him massive kudos because he might be one of 5 freaking artists that don't work with me or Rick Barker who are actually actively trying to get contact information of the artist. They're trying to own the information, which, by the way, you have to do. This is not negotiable. You have to do it. If you're not doing it now, you're going to do it later. But the best time to plant a tree 20 years ago, second best time is right now. Don't wait till tomorrow. But he's serving up wrong. So he's saying, hey, we want to offer. He's trying to be nice, but, so he's not being like obnoxious, like, check us out, download our free song or whatever. He's being really nice about it. But I think, Brent, what I would do is make it more about them and be like, hey, thanks so much for the love on Facebook, all the follows. Thanks so much for all the follows on Instagram. Thanks so much for all the follows and the likes on Twitter. Now we want to do something for you. Here's a free download. When you make it about them, you're going to get a better conversion rate on those links, and more people are going to want to download that song. And then, of course, you couple that with what we just spoke about, Brent, with the story. There's something that's a little more sticky there. They're going to be more interested to find out about you. So those are the 3 quick points that I would bring up about that, Uncle Brent from No Stone Music. And once again, thanks for sending that in. Okay, and hey, if you want to get some one-on-one consultation, which actually Brent did with me, and
awesome.
Then let us know. Reach out to info@daredevilproduction.com. We are available to you for 1 hour block at a time. We can do more than that if you want, but usually 1 hour leaves your head spinning pretty good, and we're happy to let you know what's going on, and certainly reach out to us if you think we could. As Daredevil Production, if we could take your social media to a whole nother level and get your audience growing and get you in touch with them and get you to own the information and bring all of this knowledge that we have, that we work every day on, it's just going to blow you up in a way that you haven't done before. So reach out to us about that too. We'll be happy to talk how that works for you, okay? So back to the show. So I live 2 doors down from the football coach, who's just like, dude, you got to be on the team. Nice guy, but you've got to be on the football team. I'm like, hell no. And basketball, though, I would do that, right? Because first of all, football, my favorite sport ever. Love watching it. I'll never play that. People get hurt when you do that. I'm just not that kind of a violent guy. You know what I mean? But basketball, I was on the team. I was starting freshman year because I could just crunch everybody. You know what I mean? I was taller than most other people at that age. But man, I started to have a lot of success. I could have been if I put the time into the basketball and my shot, which was seriously lacking, because I was like Dennis Rodman. My defense was undeniable. You know what I mean? But I made 4 points a game or something. I wasn't Johnny drop it through the hoop guy. But where was I? What was I doing? What I was doing was playing the guitar. Right? So on one hand, it wasn't developing as quickly as the other kids were developing at that time in my basketball skill set, but also is because I didn't care about it as much as I cared about the guitar and being in a band and making music. That was just what was driving my soul. And so that's what I was doing, right? And you just have to do the work. And on the other hand, now here's another perspective from somebody who owns a business that develops artists. Give me 3 artists with ungodly talent, and I will choose a 4th artist with half the talent who will outwork the ones with the talent every single day of the month, of the year, of the decade. When I'm confronted with humility, when I'm confronted with people who are like, here's what I know that I don't know, and you're here to teach me what I don't know that I don't know.
Right.
Right? Yeah. And together, we're going to move forward, because if I don't do this, I'm going to explode. You know what I mean? Like, I've got, like, that's what I want, because they can outwork everybody else. You can learn to write a better song. And I think that the people who really, truly write the best songs are the ones who are really the most interested in doing it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I mean,
a specialist. I mean, it's the same thing. If you put me up in a singing contest or melody writing contest, I bet, you'd think, oh my gosh, this guy has never got a chance in the music business. And I wouldn't, as that guy.
That's right.
But figured out early on, lyrics are my thing, words are my strength, me do words good. And I went all in on that, and I worked my tail off to get my craft where the best I could get it. And that paid off. It was a lot of work.
Yeah. And there's all kinds of niches that I promise you, until you see them with your own eyes, you'll be baffled to know that they exist. And let's just start at like a really low level, right? Like in high school, like if you're in a high school band and you're putting your high school band together, odds are that one of the guys that's in the band who has the least amount of talent is in the band because he's got the van that you need to get the crap to the gig, right? So that's just like a necessity thing. So he buys himself some time because he's got this thing over here that's really, really needed for this operation to move forward. And he gets to decide whether or not he's going to be better or not. It's on him. But he's there not because of his skill, because he's got a van, right? There are songwriters that we've talked about that are in rooms where sometimes you walk out and you're like, man, I don't know that he wrote a note or that he wrote a word, but his energy was in that room, and just his vibe was just like, man, like it's just like, it just keeps a tired writer, maybe hump day Wednesday, had a bad morning, traffic hit, maybe got in a car accident on the way, not really feeling inspired to write this song. But when they get around that guy, it just brings the best out of people, and then they come in with this incredible stuff for lyrics or melodies or whatever, So it's, through work, you'll find like-minded people with similar goals in the smallest towns that will lead to other people with similar goals in bigger towns. And the artists who work hard will always outshine the artists who talk about work and talk about the business, regardless of your skill and your talent. Mm-hmm. It's going to get better. That stuff can be learned. You can learn to be a better guitar player. You can learn to be a better singer. But what does that mean? Like, Mick Jagger ain't never going to win American Idol. Right.
I mean, most of the people on radio today, whatever format, aren't going to win The Voice or American Idol.
Yeah.
But it's all right.
Most of the judges can't win American Idol. All right. Jennifer Lopez ain't gonna move mountains with that voice. She's a dancer. But she knows how to be a star. She's got another skill set that's extreme, that's so valuable, she's turned it into a multi-$100 million empire,
Right, yeah.
So it's just about the work. And I promise you, like, that vulnerability that we read in that email is the pathway to quitting. If you consider it the wrong way, it's almost like looking for a way out, right? Looking for a reason to give up, because and I would never wish that on anybody, unless you decide that, hey, you know what? Like, I love this thing over here. I love this little business I started, whatever. Maybe you're making furniture or something, and you're like, I love this. It's working out for me. That's what I want to do. Okay, then put your time there, Right.
I heard if I can just interject for a second, I heard this quote one time, or this thought that said, if you were on trial for being a songwriter or an artist, would there be enough evidence to convict you?
Oh, that is so good. I've never heard that.
Yeah, that was pretty flattening.
Yeah, that is so good. I mean, the artists, on that note, the artists who are constantly working at their art, and this is songwriters, artists, singers, whatever, they don't have time to complain about not making it. They're too busy creating opportunities for themselves. Right? And I've learned that people who really love something, are busy working on it. That could be a relationship. That could be your children. That could be a job. That could be a passion like songwriting or singing or making music. And as a consequence, I always judge my involvement with somebody on a business level based on the work that they've done. So to your point again, right? Like, is there enough evidence to convict you of being a songwriter?
All right.
Of being a singer, and so any self-diagnostic should begin, as a direct response to this email here, should begin with an honest assessment of what are you doing? Where are you spending your time? If you say, I have to work a job, I hate to pay the bills, or I have to pay the bills so I can live, therefore I don't have enough time to be an artist, then I promise you're right. The kind of living you're making is clearly more important to you than becoming an artist, because that is what you spend all your time working on. That's what you're doing. I'll put my money where my mouth is right there. I'm gifted at sales, man. The biggest company I've ever been in sales was AmeriQuest. That was a $34 billion company. It's in the top 5% of the sales guys, man. Like all the free vacations, here's $1,000. We're going to pay you to go to Hawaii. Bring your wife. Like Why? Because I made money. I know how to make money in sales. And am I making that kind of money here at Daredevil? Hell no. But I'm here living a different kind of lifestyle than I could be living, but because this is where I want to be. This is where I belong. I know this is where I belong. I love working with artists. I love doing this podcast with you. I love, this. I'm helping people. Like, I'm really helping people, I feel like. So, but I'm making choices on money based on where I really want to be. I'm really good at chasing the dollar. I remember this was one of the things my dad said. He's like, so, what do you really want to be doing? Because clearly you're not happy with all this money over here. I'm like, oh yeah.
Right.
So chase the dream, not the paycheck, and you're going to have to make some sacrifices doing it, but when you really, really, really need to do it, when you have to do it, then you will surround yourself with people who understand that.
And for me, I have grace on people that are in certain seasons of life. You just had octuplets or whatever, and you're a mom that wants to write, but you got like 8 mouths to feed or whatever. Yeah. There are seasons. Yeah. All right. There are seasons of that. And I give you all the grace in the world. I've been in those seasons. I know them well, where you just can't put in what you want to, because some things like family are really stinking important. Okay. So, but also, if you're working those 40, 50 hours a week, whatever you're providing for your family, awesome. You need, you got mouths to feed. You need to feed them. I get that. But then if you're binge watching Game of Thrones,
yep,
how bad do you really want this?
Yeah.
Right? How much TV do I watch? I don't. It's football season. I will watch a little bit of football, but not much.
Yeah.
Because my time's on family or music stuff. Music business, this stuff, songwriting, pro, writing, or my family. And that's about it. I ain't got time for Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And so if you're watching that stuff, is there more evidence that you are a TV critic than you are a musician? Well, he must be a TV critic. He's watching all these episodes and all these seasons of Dexter.
Yeah. I
guess you're a TV critic. Oh, no, actually, I'm an artist. Oh, really? I don't see that on your calendar.
Yeah. There's more evidence that you're a TV critic than there is that you're
a musician or a songwriter.
Yeah.
Right. Or that you're a professional fisherman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or whatever. It's like, okay, our calendars show, our wallets and our calendars show what we really value, what we really, truly, honestly value.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just need to take a hard look at that and go, okay, I'm pulling out my calendar, I'm pulling out my wallet, my check register, whatever, my bank account. Where's my time go? Where's my money go? Hey, a lot of people, a lot of your time's making a living. I get that. We got to eat. We got to have a roof over our head. Sometimes, you can, but is it because like I can't make that leap because I got to have the nice house and I got to have the nice car? well, then I guess you love those things more than you love your music, which is fine. But just realize that and live with it.
Yeah, no judgment on where you're spending your time, but just realize that it's not here. So being frustrated about this is, it's going to be a direct result of wherever you're spending your time working is where you're going to see results. Mm-hmm. Right? And if you realize that you're working towards something that isn't as important as your artistry, then change it. It's that simple. It's that simple. And that comes with being a little uncomfortable because maybe you're used to doing things a certain way. Maybe you're used to we get into habits of watching TV, right? We get into habits of, basketball, baseball leagues and bowling leagues and dart leagues and all these things where we like to socialize and we like to do that. But
Whiskey league, yeah,
out drinking every weekend or whatever. I mean, man, that's time that you could be sitting down, working on your social media. It's time that you could be writing a new song. That's time that you could be strategizing on what you need to do, but you're not spending time thinking about that. You're spending time doing this other stuff. And spend time drinking, you're going to get drunk. If you spend time, watching TV, you're going to learn all about Game of Thrones and be making those comments on Facebook. If you spend a lot of time on Facebook, you're going to catch up on everybody else and what they're doing, and that's going to absolutely do nothing for you in any way, shape, or form. If you have reasons for putting all the energy that you put into working towards something that doesn't have anything to do with your artistry, then that's where you really want to be, and that's where you really should be. Just what are you doing? And you know how I know that? Because this is what you're doing. That's all I got to say about that right there.
There we go.
So that might be the shortest Johnny episode ever. You're welcome. But hey, anybody that... as far as just some strategies, man, you write good songs. If you want to get a good recording of those songs, hit me up at info@daredevilproduction.com. Again, production is singular. And we can get you into the brand new Daredevil Songwriter Scholarship Program for any songwriters that are out there. We'll get you with the best A-list players in Nashville, but at a supremely discounted rate, and get you the same deal, essentially, that really what's going on is the same deal that the publishing companies get because they have such high volume. We can, what we call, piggyback you on those sessions. So if you're interested in that, please reach out, give us a buzz. We'll tell you what you need to do to get going on that. And again, leave a rating and review, share it with other people. Oh, and moving forward, if you want to do a social tune-up, let us know. Send in your links to your social media accounts. I'll take a quick look at it in 5 minutes. I'll just kind of run down and tell you what I would tell you if you were my artist on what you should do in your social media.
And this will be on the show.
This will be on the show. And if you have any questions regarding marketing, feel free to shoot those into info@daredevilproduction.com. And by the way, make sure you put something in the subject line that's pertaining to what the heck it is that you want, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to filter through it, or my staff isn't going to be able to find it. So make sure it's like, hey, marketing question for the podcast, or social tune-up in capital letters, or songwriter challenge, song title challenge in capital letters. And then we know exactly what folder to put that in, and it gets put where it needs to be placed, and you're going to get in a queue, and we're going to get to you. So anyway, with that, that's all I have to say about that. We want you guys to win. That's why this podcast exists, so y'all keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.